is Corey Lewis, and I am currently a registered foster parent. In 2019, my wife Sarah and I decided to become foster caregivers. I myself went through the foster care system in Maryland. I was there for 7.5 years.
My name is Diane Roper. I'm a paralegal at Trumbull County Children Services. So I've been at Children's Services for 35 years working, and then I was in the agency care for 6 years.
My name is Jessica Williams, and I am currently an assessment supervisor at Trumbull County Children Services. My biological parents struggled with substance use issues, chronic homelessness, neglect, and I'm sure there were some other things that I just don't remember, but the biggest concern was the use of crack cocaine.
I knew that the situation I was in was not the greatest.
My mom was a very bad alcoholic, and the guy she lived with was extremely abusive to my 2 brothers and I.
I remember being homeless.
Abandonment.
Verbal abuse, sexual abuse.
I remember seeing my mom passed out on the couch when we did have somewhere to live.
Being in without lights or gas and electric.
Severe abuse.
You know, there was some substance abuse involved.
Yeah, if I think about had I stayed in that environment, I think would I even be alive today of the craziness that went on.
I remember raising my siblings. I have 2 younger sisters, and I remember being their primary caregiver.
You know, it just wasn't the best situation, not always having a stable place to eat.
When I was removed, I was only supposed to be at the agency for 6 months, but my mom couldn't. She just couldn't beat the alcohol.
Looking back, there are definitely situations where I realized I should have been fearful. I shouldn't have been so comfortable. And honestly, I didn't get scared until someone outside threatened messing up the family unit.
Even though what she did, you still don't want to leave your mother. I mean, none of us, my 2 brothers and I, we didn't want to leave because we loved her and everything, and that's all we knew.
There was one situation where my dad, myself, and my siblings were living at a hotel, and the police came to the hotel. My dad was on probation, and he didn't let his probation officer know where he had moved. And so it's myself and my sisters there at the time. My brother wasn't home. And the police came, knocked on the door. We saw from another room them putting my dad in handcuffs, putting him in the back of the police car. Me, being the oldest sister, I went straight to the bathroom and flushed the toilet paper down the toilet. And the reason I did that was because there was a crack pipe inside of that roll, and I knew that if the police found it, that would jeopardize my father coming home to us more quickly. So I don't know that in those times that I was fearful for myself, more so fearful that someone on the outside was trying to disrupt our family.
The love for your parent, you know, you will take that more than, you know, the situation that you're in. So even though I knew that it wasn't the greatest and that the situations wasn't the greatest, you know, I still wanted to be there because I had my siblings there, I had my mom there.
I went in when I was 12, and when I was 15, she was killed. So then I just stayed as a foster child.
Going into my first foster home as a child was so scary.
You know, it's fear, not knowing what the future holds, you know, being separated. All of those things go through your mind.
It was scary. It was really scary.
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't honestly know what to feel, and all I could think about was getting back home. I didn't care what they said my parents did. I didn't care what issues they thought we had. I didn't care where we lived or anything. I didn't care about those problems that we had. I just wanted to go back home because that was comfortable for me. That was safe for me.
When I first entered foster care, I was about, I would say, 10, going on 11 years old.
You get angry at the wrong people, and you don't really know where to direct it or anything.
We were allowed visitation with my parents. Unfortunately, though, they were the parents who didn't show up. And so for 2 years, we were supposed to have visits, and they didn't come. They never came, not to one visit. And so at that time, I didn't blame them. Of course, I blame, it's not their fault, it's the the caseworker's fault. It's your fault they're not here. Why didn't you go get them? I didn't recognize that it was, my parents were so far gone in their addiction that came first. And so that was hard.
You know, I did end up going with a sibling. Even though we were split up, I stayed with my older brother. So he's the second from the oldest. And we did go through the 2 placements together.
It is best at all costs, at any time it's possible, to keep siblings together, because like I said, a lot of the time that's all that they have. They lose their parents, so that's the first trauma. And then going into a home, if they do have siblings, to be separated from them, that's another trauma in itself. For me, my sisters were always my strength. Even if I didn't feel happy or if I didn't feel good about something, I knew that I had them, and I knew that I could rely on them. They were always there. They were the constant.
My foster mother fostered over 100 children through Children's Services. And it was really scary at first because I didn't know them, and you don't know what kind of people they are. You're worried, like, you know, the same thing happening, which of course never did. And after about a year, I started getting more comfortable and more comfortable, and it just became a normal life then.
What they did for me was provide me with stability, with structure, with rules, and you know, keeping me, I would say, level-headed, whether it's reading or religion or whatever was needed to be done. Positive reinforcement, as well as having me understand that the situation I was in wasn't my fault. So through those things, it has helped me a lot to become who I am today.
They were definitely my second set of parents. They were the parents like I wished my natural parents were like, and everything. And they meant the world to me, and I appreciated so much what they did. Felt safe, I guess the best word I could use. I could go to bed at night and not have any fears, and to be able to eat, to have 3 meals a day, and all of that too, we just, the neglect of not having food, literally not having food. And when I went into the foster home, it was like, we had, I mean, my brothers too, I'm sure, like 3 meals a day and clothes, and I mean, that was all new to us. And you know, I still longed for my mother and always wished she had gotten better and had a normal life with her. But I think I was so blessed.
And that very first day, I can remember being so afraid. My caseworker had told us that there was a mom and a dad, and they had dogs. And so we were like, okay, we like dogs. They said there's a nice dog and a mean dog. So we pull into the driveway, our first day out there, and to the car comes running this beautiful dog, gnarling at her teeth were vicious. And before she started barking like this, the caseworker goes, "That's the nice dog." So you could imagine our surprise when she started behaving in this manner. And we're like, yeah, we're not getting out of this car. After we were there probably for 2 months, we were inseparable. We went to our first amusement park with the Kirchhoffers. We went to Erie, Pennsylvania, and my sister Jenna, she's the youngest of us, and her face, like, she presents as kind of mean because she doesn't smile. I had never seen her smile so big. I don't think ever. And it wasn't because we were at an amusement park. I know that was part of it because she's a kid, but I honestly feel like the bigger part of it was because she felt like she was home. And that is so important when people agree to foster, is that you make children feel like they're at home. Because that's the hardest part, is being taken from your own home and then being thrown somewhere else and feeling out of place. But they absolutely did their best to make sure we didn't feel that way.
So I understand what these children are going through, what they're feeling, you know. you know, in our situations might not be the same, but, you know, even if not, I feel that me being in 7.5 years, that I could bring with my experience and what I went through and hopefully make it better for another child.
Kids like us, we don't go to college. We don't graduate high school a lot of the time. We definitely don't have driver's license. We don't get cars. We don't do things like that. But I definitely attribute my success to the fact that I finally found a family who cared about me. Finally found a family who wanted what was best for me, who wanted to see me succeed, and who were willing to help me get there. So because of my foster family, the Kirchhoffers, mom and dad, I went to college, got a bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree. I have my own apartment. I'm a supervisor at Trumbull County Children Services. That is not something that happens for children like me, but it absolutely can. It doesn't happen because it's not supposed to. Typically it doesn't happen because kids don't know that it's possible for them. They don't recognize that their current situations with their families and whatever they may be going through is temporary. And so if you can be a part of that, I encourage you to foster.
So I myself went through foster care, and by me going through foster care, the only way I felt that I could give back is by becoming a foster parent myself, providing love and care and my experiences to a child or children that need it. And it is a scary thing at first. It's nervousness at first, but once you get into it, once you get that placement, you see that child smile, you see the child's face, you never know of the feelings and emotions that will come about. So, you know, go ahead, make that push, change your life, change a child's life, and become a certified foster care parent like I did.
Children's Services isn't my family. They are, when you're with somebody that many years, and they've taken care of me, and they're just family.